So just a few moments ago, we held a press conference upstairs to recognize Domestic Violence Awareness Month and announce a new initiative in Montgomery County called Walk in Their Shoes. Spread out throughout the county will be shoes with stories of victims of domestic violence across Montgomery County. This is an issue that impacts, whether we realize it or not, somebody we know. Cheryl, just a moment ago upstairs, bravely shared her story with all of us, and she represents, unfortunately, many stories that are out there. We must eliminate the stigma associated with this extraordinarily challenging and overwhelming issue. We also must reinforce and ensure that we provide support for the victims and make sure the organizations that are uniquely qualified and work in this space have the support and resources that they need to be successful. This is critically important, especially now, when we know lives are being lost, and 5 right here in Montgomery County were lost just this last year to domestic violence. It doesn't have to be that way. We can all do more. We have to do more. And so that's why it's critically important for us to recognize this month. I'll now turn it over to the county executive to say some few words as well.
So it really is important to recognize domestic violence and what it does to people. It creates lifelong damage, and the damage long outlasts the bruises and some of the other scars that people suffer. And it impacts not just the immediate victim, but if it's happening in a family, it affects every one of the family members. You cannot be present in a situation like that and not be affected by it. I'm a former school teacher, and I taught elementary school, and we had cases of suspected domestic violence, and you could see the emotional impact that this has on the kids. You could see, if you wanted to know something, how hard it was to have anybody talk to you. And when I was teaching, the laws were skewed very much, it seemed to me, against children, and there's been improvements in what we do, but it's something that we do need to take seriously, and we need to acknowledge that it's something that people are going to live with for a long time. So it's important that county does what it does, and having the Family Justice Center, which I've mentioned, Dutchie Trachtenberg kind of led on that when she was a council member here, was really critically important because we were looking for a place that could provide safety for people who wanted to report. And we've gone from having a place where you can come and report to having a place where you can transfer children in a safe custody situation without putting people at risk. So we've come a long way, and we also know there's a lot more to do. Domestic violence hasn't gone away. I always think back when I was a teacher, and when I raised the issue of some behaviors going on the playground, I remember somebody saying to me, "Boys will be boys," and my reaction even then was, if the attitude is the boys will be boys, when does this stop? How do you encourage people? How do you say it's okay to do this because you're a boy and expect it to go away when you reach some different age? So this is something that you have to address early, and you have to address often. There's never an okay time for this to happen. And I know the county is committed to this, and we're going to be committed to it, on my side of the street, and I know there's full of support for all these initiatives we want to do on this side of the street. So thank you.
There are too many people to recognize, but I do want to recognize a few. And I want to thank the members of the Montgomery County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council for their steadfast leadership and their commitment to this important work. I'd also like to thank representatives from the Montgomery County Family Justice Center for their extraordinary work. My wife has become engaged in this work, and she comes home with stories and talks about how blown away she is by the extraordinary leadership shown by this very important agency. And I also want to recognize our law enforcement officials, including State's Attorney John McCarthy, Sheriff Popkin, Chief Jones, and all of the remarkable men and women that work in their units every day under some of the most difficult of circumstances imaginable, helping to keep us all safe. I would like to turn it over now to Debbie to say a few words before the county executive and I will read the proclamation.
Thank you so much. My name is Debbie Feinstein. I work for the state's attorney's office for John McCarthy, and I'm chief of his Special Victims Division. I am also the current chair of the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council. So as a prosecutor, we often see the bad thing after it already happens, after someone is arrested, after the police are called. But one of the greatest privileges in my career is to try to get out in front of the issues, to try to combat domestic violence before it ever happens. That's what we're here for today. We're here not obviously to celebrate domestic violence, but to celebrate awareness and prevention of domestic violence, to work together as a community to get out in front, to learn what the signs are, to know what to recognize, whether it's for yourself, for a family member, a community member, a friend, and to know where to go for help. As Councilmember Albornoz mentioned, and as County Executive Elrich mentioned, we have the Family Justice Center, an incredible one-stop shop for victims of domestic violence where you can get services literally wrapped around you. We have the incredible crisis and trauma services in our county, which are open 24 hours a day at the Crisis Center and the Abused Persons Program. Really just amazing resources in multiple languages, immigration blind, confidential, and we would encourage citizens to really take advantage of the programs that are offered there and the support. You're not alone. And as was indicated, the initiative that we launched today was an initiative, Walk in Our Shoes, where we partnered with our library system and our recreation department to put displays around the county, survivor stories, so that you can feel, so that our community can feel and see these stories, to bring them home, to bring them into your heart, and be a part of the solution, of the prevention. Thank you so much, and thank you again for this acknowledgement today.
Thank you. I also want to recognize the Commission for Women for their extraordinary leadership and their work in this space as well, and just want to thank them on behalf of the entire council for your leadership. Thank you. And finally, tucked in the audience here is Board of Education member Lynn Harris. Lynn has been a tremendous leader in this space, helping to ensure that our school system educates our youth about this critical issue. And as we have learned, especially these last 10 years, this is impacting younger and younger people. And we have to rededicate our work. With that, the county executive and I will now read the proclamation. So, whereas October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and?
You got a short one?
Yeah.
Whereas domestic violence is a serious public health issue, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men are victims of physical violence by an intimate partner. Black women are 4 times as likely to be a victim of intimate partner homicide. 1 in 3 adolescents is a victim of physical, sexual, emotional, or verbal abuse from a dating partner, and 1 in 15 children are exposed to domestic violence each year. And
whereas domestic violence can be lethal. In 2021, 58 Marylanders lost their lives to domestic violence, including 5 Montgomery County residents, and 76% of those cases, the offender used a gun to kill the victim. And
whereas prior strangulations, threats, use of a weapon, jealousy, controlling behaviors, suicidality, and stalking indicate dangerous and possibly lethal situations. And
whereas bystander intervention is critical to preventing domestic violence. If you are concerned about someone, encourage them to get help and seek safe shelter. And
whereas the Montgomery County Family Justice Center and the Abused Persons Program, both located in Rockville, Maryland, offer free confidential services to anyone impacted by domestic violence, including virtual services. And
so I'm going to take us home here. Sure. Whereas during the month of October, the Montgomery County Domestic Violence Coordinating Council will provide virtual and in-person resources, including survivor stories, signs of abuse, and how to get help. And whereas through public awareness and education, we can reduce the incidences of domestic violence in Montgomery County. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the county executive and myself, along with Councilmember Katz, who's shown tremendous leadership as chair of the Public Safety Committee, hereby acknowledge October 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Montgomery County. We ask our community to recognize the pervasive problem of domestic violence and to spread the word about the help available at the Family Justice Center and the Abused Persons Programs. Signed by myself, the County Executive, and Councilmember Katz on this day, October 4th, 2022.